Okay, boys and girls, this is our Chapter 6 review for percents. First question is 178% expressed as a mixed number in simplest form. Okay, so to do this problem, let me just get my marker. 178%, we divide it by 100 because percents are always based on 100. And you could do this several ways. One way is to reduce right away, or figure out how many hundreds go into 178, because we need to make this into a mixed number. So 100 goes into 178 one time, and then you have 78 over 100 left over. You should know that you can reduce this by 2 because they're both even, so it's 1. And then if you divide 78 by 2, you're going to get 39, and then it's going to be over 50. So it's 1 and 39 over 50. Okay, next one, just delete that, is 9% expressed as a decimal. Okay, again, a few ways to do this one. One way is to take 9%, and you should know that there's a, if I would look at this as a number, or a whole number, there would be a decimal right there. And when we want to take it from a percent and into a decimal, we move the decimal over 2 places to the left because we're actually dividing by 100. So we go 1, 2. So the answer is 0.09. The other way to do this is when it's 9%, again, we're always based on 100. So all you need to do is take 9 and put it over 100. And you should know that this is 9 hundredths, so 0.09. Either way works. Okay, let me just erase this. Next one is 124% as a decimal. 124% as decimal. Again, 2 ways to do it. Take a decimal, move it over 2 places, so it's 1.24 because we're dividing by 100, or take 124 and put it over 100, and then you have to make it into a decimal at that point. The easiest way is just to move the decimal over. Okay, so for number 4, it's 6 1/5. I'm just going to go to a new page here. Let me just get a new marker. Okay, so if we have 6 1/5 and we need to express that as a percent, what we need to do is this. First of all, what I would do is make it into, there's a couple ways to this, but one way is to make them into improper fraction first. So 6 times 5 plus 1 is 31 over 5. And then to make a number into a percent, remember we're going to multiply by 100. So when you multiply by 100 over 1, we can simplify right here. So that'll be 31 times 20. 31 times 20 is, if you have to do it on the side, you could do it on the side, like I am. So it's 620. So that's 620%. Okay? So that's probably the easiest way to do it. Another way to do it, though, is if you have 6 1/5, you should know 6 is a whole number, so that's 600% plus 1/5. And 1/5, again, we could times that by 100. So if you times it by 100 over 1, you get 20. So the answer would be 600 plus 20%, so that's 620%. Okay, so let's do number 5. So it says round to the nearest whole number. So it's 58 over 158. And again, there's a couple ways to do it. You could multiply by 100, and that would help you. It's just that it's a little tricky with 158 as a denominator. So another way to do it is this. It's actually 58 divided by 158. When I write like that, you should know that 158 is on the outside, 58 is on the inside. Put a decimal, bring the decimal straight up. So what we're going to do is this. 158 goes into 580 3 times. 3 times 158 is 474, I'm sorry. Subtract it, 6, that'll be 0, 1. Bring down the 0, and you're going to keep going, and eventually your answer is going to be 36.7. I'm sorry, it's going to be, let me just get a new page. it's going to be 0.367. And what we need to do is to get that into a percent, we're going to, again, move it over to the right 2 places or times it by 100. So you move the decimal to the right 2 places. So we have 36.7, but it says round to the nearest whole number. So to do that, we go to the 6, go to the next door. 7 tells you round up. So the answer would be 37. Now we want to find the quantity represented by each percent. Okay, so a couple key things. One is the word of. Whenever we have the word of, usually in math, we're going to multiply. So we have 28% for the first one, and it's 28% of 208. So when we write this out, it's 28% times 208. Now you need to remember that 28%, we got to make that into a decimal first. So you could do it one of 2 ways. You could take it and write 28 over 100 times 208 over 1, and that'll give you the same answer. We could reduce and so forth. Or what I like to do is just make it into a decimal. So we move the decimal over 2 places. So let me just erase some of this. So we have 0.28 times, because of 208. And again, you have a calculator, so 0.28 times 208, times 208 is going to give us 58.24 feet. You have to label it. Make sure you label it. Okay? And for the test, I'd like to see an equation when you do the equation. Next one is 12% times 1,500. So again, I like to do 0.12 of times 1,500, and that's the equation you really should have. Use your calculator, times 1,500, and I get 180. So it's $180. Okay, so the next section is a little bit trickier. So what I like you guys to do is write it algebraically. It's just a lot easier if you do it like this. So we have 19% of n, a number, I don't know what it is 208. So a couple things. Of is multiplication, is means equal. So 19%, I'm just going to make that into a decimal right away. 0.19 times, let's get a different color, n, because I don't know what n is. That's my number. Equals, that's what is means, 208. So now we've done this many times, solving algebraically. So we have a variable we want to get by itself, and it's multiplying by 0.19. So you have to do the inverse operation, or the opposite. So we divide by 0.19. So divide by 0.19 on both sides. These cancel out. So n will equal, and again, you have a calculator, use your calculator, 208 divided by 0.19, and I get 1,094, and let's just round it, 0.7. We'll round it to the tenths. Okay, so that's the answer for number 8. Next one, same deal. I'll put n there because that's my variable. 23, 0.23 of times n is equals 156. Divide by 0.23. Divide by 0.23. I get n left equals 156 divided by 0.23. And again, I get a number with a lot of decimals. So we'll just round it to the tenths for now. So 6.78, that's a decimal, 0.3. Next, we have, this is a little bit different, so it's n%. So we got to find the percent of 125 is 55. Same thing. N, we don't know what it is, it's a percent. So n% of multiplication is, well, I'm sorry, of 125 is equals 55. So what we want to do is we have to get rid of the 125 because we have n%. Now the only thing is you have to be a little bit careful because it's percent. So it's n percent. We divide by 125, divide by 125. This is going to equal 55 divided by 125 equals 0.44. But we want the percent of it. So if we wanted percent of it, what we're going to do is we're going to take 44 and make a percent. So n will equal 44, make it 44%. Just move the decimal over. So we could check this problem. I'm going to check. I'm going to do 44% times 125. So 44 times 125, and it equals 55. Okay, so number 11 says, of the 1,250 people at the Quidditch match, 24% of them were Hufflepuffs. How many were not Hufflepuffs? Okay, so there's a couple ways to do it. One way is to, if you know, and we know that percentages are based out of 100. So if 24% of them were Hufflepuffs, how many were not? So it'd be 100 minus 24, and when you do that, you're going to get 76. So 76% were not. So to find the actual number, what we're going to do is we're going to take 76%, multiply it by 1250, and when you do that, you're going to get 950. So the answer is going to be 950. And remember, when we multiply by a percent, you're actually multiplying by 0.76. Next one has a typo I told you guys about. So it says Harry and Hermione each bought a new owl. Harry's was $450 and Hermione's was $350. If the sales tax was 8%, it should say how much was each owl, not wand. That's a typo. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is figure out how much Harry's is and how much Hermione's is, and then add them together. So how much is each owl? So for Harry, it's $450, and then you have to times it by the sales tax. So we want the total. I don't want just the sales tax. So if you remember in class what I told you, the easiest thing to do is, let's take Harry's is $450, times it by the sales tax. But if you times it by 1.08, what that's going to do is the one, you're multiplying 450 by the one, then you're adding 450 times the sales tax. So it's just one quick step. If you did 450 times 0.08, you're just getting the sales tax. So this is a little bit quicker and easier. So the total for Harry is $486. Hermione's going to be $350 times 1.08, and her total, if I do it real quick on my calculator, is going to be $378. Now to get the total for both of them, so that's the total for each, and if you get the total for both, you just add it up. 4, put 1 up, that's 6. So it's $864 for both of them. Okay, number 13 says Lupin earns $15,000 a year as a professor. He spends 10% of his monthly, notice this says monthly salary on food, 25% of the remainder on robes. How much does he spend on robes each month, and how much does he have left each month? Okay, so first of all, it says $15,000 a year. We need monthly. So right away, I know to take $15,000 and divide it by 12 because there's 12 months. When you do that, you should get $1,250 a month. Okay, so he spends or earns $1,250 a month. So every month he earns that. So I'm going to draw a little bar for us. So the 100% represents the $1,250. If he spends 10% on food, then he spends 25% of the remainder on robes. Okay, so here's food is 10%. The remainder is 90%. So I'm going to use 90%. Now you could multiply by 10% too and subtract it from there, but I'm going to just multiply by 90%. So I'm going to take 90% times 1,250. This is going to tell us how much is the remainder that he has. So when I multiply 90, which is 0.9, and when we multiply 0.9 times 1,250, you're going to get $1,125 he has left each month after the food, because this is what he has as a remainder. So he has now $1,125 left each month. Now, it says he spends 25% of the remainder on robes. How much does he spend on robes each month? So we're going to take 1,125 and we're going to multiply it by 25. And 25 is going to give us how much he spends on robes. So I'm just going to say 0.25 because you know that's 25%. So when we times 0.25 times 1125, he spends $281.25 on robes. Now, how much is left? So there's two ways to really do this. What we could do is just subtract 281.25 from 1125, or you could take 1125 and multiply it by 75 because that's the rest that he has for the month. So I'm just going to go ahead and take 281.25 and I'm going to subtract that from the 1125 that he had previously. So he has $843.75 left each month. So that's what's left. That's what he spends on robes. Okay, last one. So during a Quidditch match or practice, 200 quaffles were used on the field. Of the quaffles, 10% of them are green and the rest are blue. So let's stop there. Let's just use this part so far. So 10%, 10% are green. So it's 10% of the 200 are green. So when you multiply that, you're going to get 20. The rest are blue. Well, if 10% are blue, 10% are green, 90% have to be blue because that's the rest. So times 200, you're going to get 180. These two numbers need to equal 200. So now it says Gryffindor uses 20% of the green. So you have 20, which are the green, times 20%. You're going to get 4. Next, we have 30% of the blue they use. So 180 times 30. And when you do that, you're going to get 54. That's 30. Now it says how many they use altogether. So you add 4 and 54, and you're going to get 58.